All right. I think we're live. I'm outside. I don't know if anyone can hear me or not. We're gonna wait for some people to kick in. I'm gonna check on my phone real quick just to make sure you guys can hear me, because I usually don't have a lapel on. Usually I have my microphone and all that good stuff. So let's take a peek real quick on the face of books and see really quick. Yep, looks like it is. Someone can message in the chat, let me know that you guys can hear me. I'm gonna unmute myself just for a second. Okay, what's going on? How's it going? All right, looks like we're good. Can I get a confirmation that my video is okay? Can I get a confirmation video is okay? Real quick for me. Whoa, this is unexpected. What's up, Coach? What's going on, Dylan, man? What's going on? What's up, Jose? What's going on? You can hear me? All right, fantastic. What's up from YouTube? I see people from Facebook. I see people on Facebook. What's up, Andrew? What's going on, man? Awesome. All right, cool. So this is what we're going to be doing. Very good friend of mine, and I say that it's my brother. I'm just going to put it out there. All right, you guys probably don't know, but Preston inside the community group is actually my brother. You guys have seen him inside the challenges and everything else. What's up, Father? What's up, Dad? That's my dad, Troy. Welcome to the live. But basically he just started using a virtual assistant to do his cold calling. He works full time, and he called me and he's like, hey, this is kind of the results that I'm having. Is this normal? Is it not normal? And I was like, well, what are you doing to track that? And so on and so forth. Ask some questions. In the end, we decided, why not just go ahead and light up a cigar, grab some whiskey, grab some coffee, and go live. I'm going to actually break down from start to finish how to, create a cold call campaign, how to then analyze the campaign, how to track the KPIs for it, and set it up for him so that this is then readily available inside the community. I've done these things before. Sometimes they get outdated, but at least a family video. Yeah, right, Dylan? At least you guys get to benefit from it as well, okay? We're going to make it fun, make it interactive. Feel free to ask questions, but we're going to get him taken care of. I'm going to go ahead and bring him on now. I'm going to start with his Reisif account. If you don't use Reisif right now, that's fine. You'll be able to start seeing the whole call tools portion of it. Maybe you'll realize that you need Reisif, but we're also going to break open Excel and show how to actually track and document these, and then what you want to kind of watch for as you track it. So, and who should be actually documenting that is another big thing. So, all right. What's up, brother? Can you hear me? Are you in here?
What's up, buddy?
All right. Sweet. I don't know if can you hear when you're in there?
Yeah.
Okay. So, all right. So everyone knows now, at least those that watch the video. So no more messaging like, why? Do you know him? Do you not know him? I've never met the dude in my life. I have no idea who he is. So super new. What is a KPI? KPI stands for Key Performance Indicator. Essentially what that means is that if I cold call 10 people and I get a lead, you need to document that. That's a KPI, okay? Key Performance Indicator. It's a standard business term when it comes to tracking the results of your marketing. What I would love to do before we get rocking and rolling, please put in the chat where you're from and what you do, and where you're watching from. Are you on YouTube, Facebook? What market you in? Are you wholesaling right now? That way you have an idea. And then are you cold calling? Are you cold calling right now inside your business? Really, this pertains to any type of marketing that you're doing that's outbound, marketing with phone numbers. But he's smoking a cigar too. Let me find out. Preston got a whiskey glass as well. I'm sure he does. I can probably guarantee it.
Great observation, Dylan.
All right, so I appreciate you guys. Let's go ahead and YouTube MD. Where else we got? San Antonio, Facebook, wholesale, cold calling. Dylan's really good at instructions. It's going to be saved. Yeah, it'll be saved in the Facebook group on my YouTube channel and all that good stuff. Where else are we coming in from? Where else are we coming in from? Go ahead and share. If you guys are on Facebook, share it out there as well. Share the link from YouTube on Facebook. All that good stuff. Anybody else? We got like 40 odd people in here watching from somewhere. Drop a comment. All right, we're about to go for a little while here. Give me a comment. Minnesota, on Facebook out of Utah just signed up and starting wholesaling, just got the Auto Legion Challenge. Awesome, awesome, awesome. The lighting looks good in this video. Thank you so much. Tampa Bay. What's up, Corey? You're in Tampa Bay? There you go, Preston. We got New Jersey. We got Salt Lake City. Got Tallahassee. Joshua White in Rogue, Louisiana. I wholesale flip, and I'm watching on YouTube. What's up? What's up? Out of Tally. You got quite a few Tally people. All right, cool. That's awesome. I appreciate it. Obviously this is totally free. So the only thing I ask from you guys is to interact with me and please share it out there and provide this value to other people. Okay. We got another person in Maryland, 2 Marylanders, Orlando. Hey, Preston, are you still starting? Are you just starting?
I mean, I'm still pretty new to it. I've been doing it for the past few months now, so I have a pretty good understanding of everything and how to actually market and how to do all these different things. But yeah, I'd say still pretty new.
Sweet. All right, cool. So what we're going to do is I'm going to share my screen. We're going to get rocking and rolling. We're going to start with the setup of connecting call tools and Reisif. In general, if you guys are using some other cold call platform, that's totally fine. Like I said, just keep pressing forward. All the concepts are still the same. The same methodologies of tracking and the results is still important, okay? So let me go ahead and click share my screen. You guys are going to see yourselves for a second. I'm not on my normal setup, so you're going to, I don't have multiple screens out here. All right, so we're going to click share, and then boom, perfect. All right, cool. So, and I got a mic right underneath of my mouth, and I'm smoking a cigar, I drink coffee and whiskey. So you guys might end up getting some cigar, whiskey, coffee, burps. It's not my fault. It's biological. Okay, give me a break. Okay, it might happen. All right, so right now I'm in Preston's Reisif account. Now, the very first thing I wanted to make sure that we covered was if you're going to start cold calling right now and you have data, what should you be cold calling? I'm going to show what he's been cold calling, some of the ways he set his stuff up. I'm going to adjust some of the things that I noticed that he had just when I real quick pulled up his call tools just from tracking purposes and efficiency. But I want to ask myself, what should I be cold calling? If I have someone dialing for me, there's a few different ways we can think about this, okay? There's the idea of digging really deep and having, let's say, 20, 30, 40, 100 people that we want to be calling. And there's the idea of having a larger sum, kind of like the mid-tier. I look at data and I look at marketing as 3 different levels. You have kind of like open to everybody. You have a layer below that. That's kind of like the middle ground. And then you have really granular. So for example, we have high equity at top, which is just everybody that has equity in a property. In the middle, maybe we have people that are absentee in state. And then at the bottom, maybe we have only out of state high equity, if that's the only list that you had. When you have a lot of data and you're kind of doing a mixture of things, and if you have Reisif, when you upload high equity, you also then get the vacancy check. So you'll see with him, 6% of his data is vacant, which is actually a really high amount. Generally, we see anywhere between 1% and 3%. So we actually have a really high vacancy rate in Pinellas County. So automatically, I start to think to myself, that must be a common thing. Who do I want to be focusing on out of that data? If I got 134,000 records, what other data do I have available? And how can I make sure that my efforts in cold calling are getting as far as possible? Like how can I make sure that if I'm going to be sitting on a dialer, every lead that I have coming in is one step closer to getting a deal sooner than later? I don't want to have to wait for 50 leads to get a contract. You can do that if you have a bunch of cold callers, as long as you're tracking everything to make sure you're efficient. You could not track it and you can waste money, but I believe in tracking it. But especially if you have one VA and you're by yourself and they're doing a lot of the marketing for you, I highly, highly, highly recommend putting them in at least to where if they're going to start generating leads for you, they're going to be the highest, valued lead as possible. So, looking at his, automatically, I know I want to be messing with these vacant records. I know that I want to be doing something with vacant. And then I know that I can see that he's got about 8,000 that are skip traced right now and a lot that aren't skip traced. And I got about 670 that have been skip traced with no phone numbers. I also see I got newly vacant 365. So every single month, I know I want to be trying to hit those. So let's go ahead and look at his list here. Let's see what all lists he's got. We got a code enforcement list, a deal machine list, divorce list, failed list, free and clear, high equity, So it looks like we got a mixture of prop stream and list source as well as county data. And I can verify that because I know that he manages his tags well. I can just look at his tags and I can try to see what he has tagged. I'm assuming that he probably has a list source tag somewhere in here. There it is right there. And I'm assuming he probably also has a county and prop stream tag as well. I'm not going to go through all of them. But now I'm going to go ahead and click on his records page. Okay. So for those that aren't Reisif users, we have something in our filters that we call filter presets. So what I'm going to do real quick is I'm going to click load, and it looks like he already has some here. We have a vacant code enforcement preset and a vacant tax delinquent preset. So him and I never actually talked about what to target, but apparently he was on the same mindset based off of the Auto Legion challenge and everything he's been through in the trainings. And he knows like that we want two different things. We want a sign of distress, and then we want some form of time constraint. So vacancy means that it might be a property that they can let go of easily. The code enforcement, man, you guys are going to hear all the bugs tonight. The code enforcement means that there's visually something going on there, or maybe it was inspected and there's actually physically something going wrong. And then the tax delinquency, meaning that there's the financial distress there. We can even go a layer deeper, which I'm pretty sure he has actually done, and layer up both of those vacant tax delinquent that have a code enforcement as well. That's what I'm talking about when I talk about the three different layers, right? The high level of this would be hitting just the vacancy campaign. So we have a preset here, vacant. I'm gonna actually create this. We're gonna create all three different campaigns here tonight. One of them is gonna be the straight vacant campaign, where we click on the preset. We don't want any of our statuses of lead or any of the solds. We want vacant properties. And then we're just gonna leave it at that and click apply real quick. And we're gonna see how many he's got. Right now we got 5,691. But we need to then see also, because we're going to be cold calling here, we need stuff with phone numbers. So we're going to go ahead and do a phone numbers here, numbers yes, and then click apply. And that brought us down to 4,000 or so. So now I'm going to click back on my filter records. I'm going to save this as vacant cold calling. Okay. So now none of this, and then I'm actually going to say A01 in the preset. Now, I don't want people to get too confused about the A01. I'm doing this specifically because I know that these are going to be attempt ones because of what I'm about to do here in a second. I just want to show people how you can use presets to kind of filter data through essentially a sequence here. So I'm going to click apply filters, or I'm going to click save and apply filters again. And now we have 4,334 records here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to select all of these records, and whether he has this on here or not, I'm going to pretend like he's never done anything before. I'm going to click add tags here, and I'm going to create a campaign tag. So I know that I want these records to go on a campaign, so I'm going to do vacant. I'm going to do this as if it's April 2021, CC for cold call. Click add. And then I'm also going to add a tag A01CC, which looks like he has one in here. And then I'm going to click add tags. So it's going to go through all those records now, and it's going to add a tag in there. I know a lot of people now are probably thinking, well, Tyler, if you're going to also be doing vacant code enforcement, they're going to be in here as well. It's 100% correct, and that's totally fine. All right. So now that I have this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add another block in here. And this one's just going to be for tags. And it's going to be for includes attempt A02. Well, I'd have to create the tag first. But it's going to only include attempt A02. So when you finish calling through this, you were basically going to create another preset just for attempt 2s, another preset for attempt 3s. And then we're going to, as we click through those records, anything that doesn't have an attempt 1 tag will end up becoming our records we've never marketed to before. So let me do that as an example here. So if I say do not include A01 CC and then click apply, none of the data is going to be here no more. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to save this as a new. I'm going to do the same thing, vacant cold calling A0 instead of A01. I'm going to put add to A01. Add. Okay, so now what I've done is I basically created a preset. So every single month I can come in here and I can now add those and have those as a first attempt. After your first cold calling, now any previous one's always going to say it has to include A01 and A02 so that you know which ones need to go to the next campaign. So essentially what we're doing is we're creating a system here to bring in new vacant data, cold call through it, now bring it to the next vacant data, and so on. Now, when we add in another cold calling strategy, or we add another marketing strategy like SMS, now it's as simple as saying, okay, well, once I get data that's under A03 preset, I know that the next preset is going to be, if it includes A01, A02, and A03, and it doesn't include cold called or anything like that, or it doesn't include lead status or any of those, anything that's a mobile phone number from that needs to go and add to SMS A01. Does that make sense? So essentially what we're doing is we're creating through presets where I can say, okay, I want to click here and apply. There's nothing new. So I know that, okay, now I need to click on my next one. I need to load my next preset for A01, apply, boom, there's that data. And then I'll suppress out anything that contains A02 from A01. And it's basically only going to show me the data that I haven't called a 1 time, 2 times, 3 times, 4 times. So we're using Reisif essentially in these presets to build that marketing strategy for us. And we can do this with our SMS campaigns and so on. And then there'll be one more to say, hey, move all this to the SMS campaign. That's as deep as I'm going to go there for the sake of this video. But just know that once you have it done once, you just never need to do it again, right? It's just a matter of setting it up one time. And you could do this manually through Excel documents and stuff if you really wanted to. Sounds like it'd be a real big pain, but now it's there. So I would do the same thing with vacant tax delinquent and vacant code enforcement. So I'm just going to click on those and just see what he has here. All right, so I'm going to do not included the rest of these as well. Oh, those are tags, not interested DNC. Okay, so all right, so I'm going to actually go ahead and not use that as my preset. I'm just going to go back to the one I already have, vacant cold calling, A01. And I'm just going to go ahead and add another variable here, list, and I'm going to say tax delinquent. Okay. And now it's basically the same exact thing, right? It's vacant tax delinquent properties that have phone numbers, and I can save this as a new, and I can say vacant tax cold call. Okay. My filters, and now out of that, we have 82. So why would I do that, right? Why would I take 82 of those records that are vacant, that are tax delinquent, at least on the tax delinquent records, right? So they could be on multiple lists. You can see this one right here is on tax delinquent. We got a temp list we got to remove here. It looks like pre-foreclosure, tax delinquent, unknown equity, and it's got a wrong phone number, right? So we have one more phone number we can reach potentially. So what we want to be able to do is say, hey, I mean, there's 82 that are on tax delinquent. I know they have that variable. So I want to make sure I get ahead of those records. So that'll make sense here in a second when we actually add the flow in here, and you guys will see that, okay? Let me go and check the chat here, stop sharing and see real quick. Any questions up to now? I want to make sure that we're not getting lost here. We got 50 people here. I want to make sure that we're not confused. How do you tag correct number? I'm going to show that. I'm going to show you that. Don't worry. It's one of the amazing things about Reisif's ability to do the whole phone tagging thing. But do you have any questions about what I just explained? Preston, do you have any questions about what I just did at all inside your account?
Yeah, actually I do. So the portion where you tag the records with basically adding the A01 later. So if you were to add, if you uploaded a new list and you added those new records to the attempt 01 cold call tag, how are you going to avoid, I guess, pulling the same list initially, that it's same initial attempt 01 cold call list with the new ones that are actually now integrated into it, and avoid, calling all the same people that you called before on the initial attempt 01?
Are you talking about from the tax delinquent versus the larger campaign?
No, just in general. Where you put the it was the tag that said whatever the campaign name was, and then it was add attempt 01. So for new properties that come in on new lists.
Yeah. So let me go ahead and share my screen again, and I'll explain that. All right. So basically, what we're doing there, if we look at our filters, is we're saying, if I load the presets, I have vacant, cold call, add A01. If I click there, I actually suppressed out the A01 cold call tag. So because of that, if you were to upload new data, no matter where it's from, and it meets the criteria that we have in this filter, and you click on this preset and it doesn't have a cold call temp 01 tag, did my camera just go off? Oh, we're good. Okay.
No, you're good.
Then it's going to pop up here. So basically what you do is you create a task in your Google Calendar, or once we have it in task management here internally, to check on the first of every month when you go to build your new campaigns, to check to see if anything fits under this criteria. There's actually another level to this that I didn't cover, where you do the same exact thing, but you say numbers no, skip trace no. And now we save this as a new, that's vacant cold skip trace first, right? So now vacant, try and have my send skip trace, right? So at the first of every month, if you know, oops, we don't need that there. Let's go and save changes. I can click apply filters here. And anything that hasn't been skip traced yet, which is 967 for you, you know, at the first of every month, in order to re-cold call them, these ones would be brand new data. So it's kind of like a flow, right? You have the stuff that hasn't been skip traced yet, right? Which would be vacant, send skip trace. Then you have the stuff that doesn't have cold call A01 yet. That's the stuff that needs to be cold called for the very first time. And then you're going to have, which we don't have yet because we haven't done it, you're going to cold call through that list. And once you finish cold calling through everything inside of call tools, basically, if we right now, if we were to go into call tools and we were to let me filter one of these. If I were to change this status to lead, it's going to disappear, right? So once you finish your cold call campaign, if you come back and take your temp 01s and you filter by it, this number, instead of 4334, it's going to go down to, let's say, like 3,500 because of all the phone numbers that you've spoken to over the course of this cold call campaign. So anything that's left over after you finish calling through all those numbers, you're going to select all of those and add the tag cold call A02. And then you're going to have another preset that says anything that contains cold call A01 and A02 is going to be under that one. And then now, so you continue to cycle through. And once it gets to a containing cold call A03, cold call A02, and A01, it'll say send to SMS, right? So then you tag all those with SMS A01. You repeat the same exact thing with SMS. So now you're going to do the 3 cycles with cold call, 3 cycles with SMS, and then you basically just do that like 2 times over, 3 times, whatever you want to do in your business, right? So the reason why you're not going to end up overlapping between A01, A02, and A03 is because of just the filters. The filters themselves make that impossible as long as you cold call through the list and then go back and do the tag. And since this is predefined filter, when you click on it and click apply, as long as it doesn't meet, the records don't have that information, you're just not going to show up, right?
So basically, all right, so like right now my VA is cleaning my new 90-day water shutoff list for Pinellas County. So say when I go to upload that, I should basically tag that whole list with add to Alpha 01.
No, I just named the preset
but
that.
Then okay.
All I did was name the preset that because those records aren't going to contain this filter. They're not going to contain A01. So as long as they don't, because when you upload a brand new list, if any of those code enforcements end up being vacant, when you click apply here, they're going to pop up brand new, ready to stage for your next campaign. So she finishes cleaning it, she uploads that data, and you're like, cool, I just added new code enforcements. I wonder if any of them are vacant. Then you just apply this filter and you're like, oh, cool, here's 50 records that are vacant code enforcements that are going to get added to my my next cold call campaign for a vacancy.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So they're inherently, no matter what you do, when you upload, that's what's so beautiful about the tagging is it's essentially staging the data for you. That's what you're doing. You think of it like you're loading in the next round in the chamber. All this is doing is it's putting the round in the chamber for you so that you can just, or it's fill in the mag, I guess would be a better example. And then you can fill the chamber by adding the tag to do A01. Anything that has A01 has to get, sent to call tools essentially. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we are going to go ahead and clear these out. We're just going to use those 2 examples that I did already as what we're going to send to call tools. But now we got to make sure call tools is set up. So I'm logged into his call tools account here. The first couple things that I realized that I noticed here is that you did a really good job naming this vacant tax delinquent March 2021 and so on. But these should be the phone list names, not the campaign name. So we're going to go ahead and I'm just going to duplicate one of yours that you already have here and then edit it. We're just going to copy the settings here. And we're going to go ahead and rename this. And we're going to call this vacant. Right? We're going to have the single number. We're going to have the phone number there, caller ID. That's fine. We have Monday. I'm going to add Saturday and Sunday, just in case you call on the weekends. I always put this to the end of the year, last day of the year. 8 to 2000. For this scenario, I'm going to bump this up to a triple dialer because we're going to be doing the primary, the larger data set here, which is straight vacant. Live answers only. We're going to switch to live answers and voicemail connects. I'm a strong believer in leaving voicemails. If you don't want your VA to do that, then you can turn that off. So you can come in.
That's why my VA wasn't able to answer or actually leave voicemails. That makes sense.
Yeah, so we're going to create these campaigns and we're going to go back and look at kind of what you were doing and how it's going to change. So power dialer, live answers, we're going to do at 3. And then we're going to pretend like I didn't see this. So yeah, that's good. So those are good as far as the checkboxes. Allow duplicate calls is really important to have on. Visible to everyone's fine. All custom fields. Newest lead dial first. Enable call recording so that you can listen to our phone calls. So that's why you might not be able to hear those. Lead count, we don't need to hide those. Redial templates, we don't have one applied right now. We can go ahead and make one if we want at the end of this. And that all looks good to me. So that's what I would have for a more wider campaign, like just straight vacant. So we're going to go ahead and save that. And then I'm going to go ahead and copy this one again, and we're going to adjust it for what I would consider niche campaigns, right? I consider a niche campaign anything that is a higher level campaign that has another parameter. So in this scenario, our tax delinquent vacant is a niche campaign. So I'm just going to edit this, and I'm just going to call this niche campaigns. Or I'll just say niche, just keep it simple. For anything that's niche, for me, I go down to either 1.0 up to maybe 1.75. Like, very rarely do we put it at 2.0, but for the sake of everything, I'm just going to kind of throw it in the middle and do 1.5. Leave everything else the same, call recording, all that good stuff, and then save that. Now, what we're going to do is I'm going to ignore the ones that you already have in here for now, and we're going to go ahead and pause those ones, all right? And then I'm just going to start these other two so that those are available so that she can see those. Now she's not going to see any of these, all right? A couple other things we're going to do real quick is we're going to go ahead and check at your connectors inside of Reisif or inside of your system here. I think it's under CRM settings connectors. And I'm going to go to Reisif and click on the SIF Dojo. And then I'm going to scroll down to the, where is it at? Tools. Somewhere in front of me.
Yeah, all the connectors are definitely uploaded from the Call Tools video that you have in the dojo. I think what you were saying last time is the reason why the JSONs weren't working or the JSONs weren't working was because I think I left the brackets in there.
Yeah, oh, here, under product support, Call Tools business integration. So if you guys have a business account, you guys can do this. Otherwise, what you're going to want to do is do it with Zapier. But with the business integrations, you can set it up, which I'll show you here in a second. So there's instructions here. I'm going to make sure these look okay. So I'm going to go back to his Call Tools, and I see Reisif DNC, not interested, Zillow, Lead. So let's go ahead and check out Lead. And there's his API key. Like I said, we're going to roll his API key and reset these up here in a minute. The place where you get this API key is all located inside here. It gives you all the instructions on where that's located, but I'll show you where his is at. Here you go, you click on settings. Let me stop sharing really quick because I don't want you guys to see his address. And then go back and share again. All right. So under your settings, you'll see there's data in and data out now. We changed the names. So if you want data to come into Call Tools, that's your API key, or data come out, meaning to send data to Call Tools, which I'll show that here in a second. If you want data to come in, you select here, and you can see we got these 3 API keys: Zapier, Call Tools, and REI-Rail. REI-Rail and Call Tools are both business plans. Zapier is any plan. So you would copy this key, and then you would paste it as instructed here inside of the training. But the biggest thing people mess up on is this right here. They leave this here. So I'm just going to go ahead and actually remove those so people don't mess that up. So you put API key, and then you put the key there. And essentially what this allows us to do by adding these connectors, all those look good, got correct number, tag, so on. What I'll do afterwards is I'll go through and I'll verify all of them for him, but I'm not going to do that here. We set up each of those. And now when we go into our CRM, when a phone call picks up, what it allows us to do when it pops up is, if it becomes a lead, all we do is we click Reisf Lead, and it sends it back to Reisif, and it tags it as a lead, and we're all set. And then you just disposition it as so. I'm going to go ahead and clean up his dispositions as well. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. I'm just going to click pretty much delete on most of these except for DNC, because you still, so plane flying over me, you still want to make sure that you disposition it in Call Tools. The biggest thing, the only reason we're doing that is so that Call Tools knows what to dial or not, but we're really using Reisif to manage everything else. And this is going to take a second for me to click delete on all these, so feel free to ask a question in the chat. And Preston, if you could case those while I'm looking at this, if someone does have a question, it'd be super awesome. So feel free to ask a question if you guys got anything while I do this. If not, I'll just continue to click delete key until I get to where we only have what we want, right? Because when we're dealing with VAs, we don't want to overcomplicate. When they click that drop down and they see all those options, they're like, oh my gosh, what the hell? Okay, so sales made, we're going to edit this, and we're going to call this okay, so we have lead, not interested, no answer, DNC. I'm going to leave no answer in there just because it's beneficial to have in case they pick up and then no one answers or whatever. But they're either going to be a lead, they're going to be not interested, DNC, and the last one we're missing is wrong number. I'm going to add wrong number. We're going to add anything marks dialed, submit. And actually, basically, we realistically want one for each of these. Lead, follow-up. Follow-up, I just want that to send to, if it's going to be follow-up, that means they said yes, right? It's a lead. It's just a matter of whether you want to follow up or not. So you might select, yes, it's a lead in the disposition in Call Tools, but you're going to send follow-up on to Reisif. Buyer, again, that's just a click. If it's a buyer, it's a lead of some form or fashion. So I would just say it's a lead in Call Tools, and then I would say I would send it to Reisif as a buyer. Listed, sold, wrong number, not interested, DNC. So let's go ahead and add another one for listed. Then let's add one more for sold. Okay, so that's that. Now it'll be nice and clean when we go to our contact and they go to do a disposition. They're just gonna be able to click that, and it's very apparent and obvious which one they're gonna select based off the conversation. If it's a lead, cool, then it's, it's a Reisif lead or Reisif buyer. That's gonna go back and it's gonna update Reisif, and what it's gonna do is if it's a lead and I click lead, it's gonna go back to Reisif, and it's going to onside that record, just like this one with Brian Ellers here. If you guys can get this guy under contract, feel free, just meet us and JV with us. He's not going to sign though. You can see that we have, this one was a wrong number, and you ended up manual finding this guy. I'm going to remove this temp list. And essentially what this means is that when it sends it here, it's going to make it as correct number. It's going to tag it as correct number, and it's going to do the other one. That was before he had that set up where he was using call tools. But so let me use this one as an example. So it's going to switch to lead, and it's going to end up having one of these as the correct number, right? It'll have like this correct number. It looks like he's using good number on those, but it'll be the correct number. Make sure I have it spelt right.
Hey, Tyler, I do have a question on the phone tags, man. Is there a way to delete phone tags within there?
Not yet.
Like I don't mean delete it from the actual like portion of the phone number there where you can just go and delete it.
Yeah.
But actually removing it from your list, no?
No, from there, not right now. We will. It's just complicated to do because you're going to have to either do it manually, but if you end up having that on phone numbers, we don't want you to be able to delete it without removing it from phone numbers because you don't know if you need it. So rather than jump into the complexity of it, we just decide not to add it. So that's what it'll end up doing. It'll switch to status. And that's why a lot of people are using Reisif as a CRM now, because that's basically what it is. And then you can have it, you can essentially have it to where you would then assign leads to your acquisitions, and they'll only be able to see, like assign to them. If I toggle this, this is always fixated. So if it's an acquisitions role inside your user management, they're only going to be able to see what's assigned to them as a lead. All right. So now we got our campaign set up here, but now we got to get that data to call tools, right? Because we want to start cold calling it. So what we need to do is we need to go to our phone list here, and this is where it matters with the names. So I'm going to go ahead and click create new file. And like I said, you don't have to be using cold call or call tools for this, but this is essentially the premise that you'd be doing. I'm going to name this vacant April 2021 CCI. Just name it the same exact name as I would as the tag inside of Reisif. All right, I'm going to click OK. And then I'm going to grab that ID number right there for the phone list, not the campaign name. We get it pretty often. We're like, oh, it's not working. It's not sending the call tools. Like, oh, well, are you using the phone list ID? Yeah, I am. I swear. Okay, send me a Loom video. Show me exactly what you did. And you're copying the campaign ID. All right. So make sure it's the phone list ID. Then we go back to call tools. What we're going to do is we're going to filter by a couple things. I'm going to filter by the A01, vacant cold calling A01. And apply that. And I know that all of these have that tag, right? I know that they have the tag that is needed. And this has been bothering me, this phone list thing. So let me remove those, that phone list, that temp list. Remove from list and just remove that temp list that's in here from those. All right. There we go. Now we're accurate. Still very good. Water disconnect, unknown equity, code enforcement. I mean, that's a banging record there. And I can see that she's actually going these. He has them assigned to a virtual assistant. She's going through and she's gathering information about these records as well. Okay, so now we have that done. So I'm going to select all of these records. I'm going to go to send to, and I'm going to go call tools. And I'm only going to select untagged numbers because as of right now, he has already called through some of these. And some of those phone numbers are tagged with correct number, wrong number, or whatever. We don't want wrong numbers going back to call tools again, right? So we're going to only select untagged numbers. That way only the untagged phone numbers go back to call tools to call again. Click next. We're going to do our phone list ID, and then we're going to add CT April. And I know it's not April 2021. Essentially what we're doing is we're saying, hey, these want the call tools in April 2021. That's what CT stands for. You can type out call tools if you want. And I'll do that for you just so that you know. Call tools, April 2021. And of course, you can rename that on your tags page. And I'm going to click send the call tools. So now what's going to happen on your activities page, if I click that, we're going to see that we now have it scheduled and it's processing. And you can see what tag was added at the time that you did this action. If I click on this send CN call tools, it's actually going to automatically filter by that list inside of call tools, and you can see we already have some records in here. Okay, so it's gonna go ahead and process as it continues to go there. We're gonna take a look at that here in a second. Let me close out some of these here. I'm gonna go ahead and pause this real quick for some questions. So let me stop sharing. Anybody have any questions with anything that I've covered thus far? We've sent data to call tools. We've created a cold calling campaign. Of course, we've taught a little bit of data management along the way. So people who are like, this is boring, sorry. It's the right way to do it. There is no denying the fact that you should be managing. If you have 3 to 10 phone numbers for a record, only one of them is probably right? Maybe 3 of them, because 2 of them might end up being for a sibling or something. If you're not tracking the others so that you don't re-cold call them, so you don't SMS them, which costs you, X amount of cents, per SMS, so you don't RVM them again, and you don't find it. A lot of us want to make a shit ton of money, right? That's part why we're in this business. We want to make money. We want to provide for our family. None of us want to learn how to save money for whatever reason. We don't want to spend the time to learn how to save money. Saved money is earned money. If you can save $5,000 or $10,000 a year in your marketing, you've made an extra $10,000 a year. If you don't want to save money, then I guarantee you love paying taxes, don't you? Why do you try to save on taxes if you don't love saving money? Think of learning how to properly market and manage your data and figure out who you're not reaching and everything. Think of that like you're saving taxes. It's going to increase your tax bill, however. So you still got to make sure you're doing that because you're going to have saved money. All right. Do you run multiple cold call campaigns a month? Yeah, so you can do multiple of those. It just depends on how many people you got. Do you ever use redial templates on call tools or just use A018? Do we literally only use it in Reisif? In my company, we don't actually do the A01 thing anymore because we just have the process down. But it's easier for people who aren't used to data management to see attempt 1, attempt 2, attempt 3, and use that in their presets. We just move the data through it. In fact, in my company, most of the time, we're just digging in. We're not even doing massive cold call campaigns right now. But in this process, especially when somebody is working and they have a VA, like you want them doing stuff, you want them creating opportunities. So cold calling is definitely a key. Okay, so let me take a look here, see where we're at. We got some processing over there to call tools right now. It's going to continue to process. In the meantime, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to run through that all over again. Did click to call out on SIFT yet? I don't know what you're asking there. Let me go ahead and share again. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and send that other campaign over. Let me close.
I think they're referring to being able to click a record in Reisif and then directly calling it from there.
No, not yet. Not yet. No click to call yet. It is definitely on the books though. Let's see, share screen. All right. We haven't even got to the whole tracking part yet. We haven't even looked at what he's done so far. We're just kind of prepping some campaigns right now. So, this is a long one. This is from start to finish. People pay a lot of money to learn how to set up their marketing and stuff. So you guys are getting like a $5,000 to $10,000, master class here. So hopefully you guys share and hit the like and subscribe and all that kind of stuff. Okay. So we've sent the A01 for that. What we're going to do is we're going to create a separate campaign inside of call tools just for that vacant tax cold call, okay? Just for the tax cold call. The reason why is because it's a small amount of records. We want to get these ones called through, okay? So we're going to equally bounce through, probably knock this one out first. That way, what we can do is we can then, while we're calling through the big vacant list, while we're waiting for connections and stuff, these can get assigned to a virtual assistant or somebody to do research to figure out why we haven't reached them, or maybe these specific ones can be the first ones to go on an SMS campaign because they have that motivation that we're looking for. So, by the way, this doesn't include the fact that some of these are going to be vacant in both of these that you can milk, which would end up, because they're not tagged with A01, if you just go through and clean up those vacants, they're going to automatically get staged inside of your send to temp 01, right? All right, so oops, I just cleared the filter. Let's go ahead and get back that filter again. Tax, cold call A01, apply. What we're going to do is we're going to go back to call tools. We're going to go to phone list. We're going to create a new file here, and we're going to call this vacant Taxdell April 2021 CC. Okay. Click OK, and we're going to go back to Reisif and make sure we tag these with that campaign. Okay. And now go back to call tools again. We're going to grab that phone ID, right? Phone list ID. Right? We're literally creating a cold calling campaign in a matter of seconds. Once you have the data where it needs to be and it's integrated, you can go wherever you need it to go, right? Of course, we're working to connect with even more platforms to make it that much easier.
Hey, so Tyler, just to clarify real quick, hitting or flipping it over to including untagged numbers, that mitigates pretty much the fact that you would add the phone tag filters, right? So at the bottom there, before you click that, where it says phone tags, include, do not include.
Has nothing to do with phone tags.
Okay.
The A01 thing has nothing to do with phone tags. You
No,
can,
not the A01. I mean, so the screen before the one that you're on right now, right? Where it has all the presets for landline, mobile, and then you flip it over to the untagged numbers. But then at the bottom, it gives you the ability to add or do not add phone tags. So by hitting untagged numbers, it just includes all numbers that have not been tagged. So then you really don't need to add or do not add.
Yeah, you don't want to add or do not add. Yeah, you don't want to do any of that. You're just toggle the one. Yeah. Yep. Okay. So send the call tool. So now we're going to send these 82 over. These aren't going to finish until the one from before finishes. So the other one's at 781 records right now. And it's not the most, the call tools API is relatively slow, but the most important thing is once you get it sent, like right now, that's going to be ready, by the time he needs it to be ready in the morning. But in general, technology is now working for you, right? That's the most powerful thing. You've now automated the whole uploading process and everything else, so you can get rock and rolling. If you ever get to a point in your business, this is important. If you ever get to a point in your business where you can't wait because you need to market right now, you've already fucked up, right? There's something else wrong somewhere that got you to the point where you're at. So you need to analyze and figure out what conspired to get to the point where I need to market right now. And if that's the case where you need to be marketing right now, then you should literally just be clicking a record and calling the fucking number. And that's it. Okay. And then rocking with it. I'm actually going to go ahead and remove that temp tag from everything in here because it's, oops, not add. Got temp list. Okay. So now we've created, we've locked in to where now he has 2 going in here. This one is already there. And this is important that we need these to finish, and I'll tell you why. I'm gonna go back to activity, go to call tools. This one already has 82 in there. It's just not showing yet on our end. But the biggest thing that you need to make sure that you do after this finishes, we need the numbers. We need how many phone numbers went. There we go, 199 phone numbers. Okay, so this is where this training is about to get a little bit more. At 35. So the people who left already are missing the most important part of the whole thing. 199 phone numbers. Okay, I'm going to take that 199, and I have a template here that's important. All right, it's a cold call marketing template. All right, so what we're going to do here is we have some options at the top. You can see we have a list. We have the type of data, the date, the end date, prospects, phones. So we're going to go ahead and put this here, saying that there's 199. Okay, and then under campaign, this is a vacant campaign, but it's vacant plus tax-del. All right, so we now know what 2 different lists. The primary campaigns there are only ever a few primary campaigns: vacant, equity, stacked, and ouchies, which is some other form of just a single vexation, right? It could be tax delinquent or whatever. But if it's an ouchies tax delinquent, just be tax delinquent, right? If you're curious about that, take the auto lead gen challenge and how that all works, okay? But I just wanted to show you guys that. Okay, so vacant tax sale. The type of campaign, cold call. The date is today's date, 3/11/2021. The end date is going to be when you actually finish calling through that whole list. It might be in one day, it might be in a week, whatever. Whenever you finish calling through that list inside of Reisif or inside of call tools, that's the end date. The amount of prospects, let's go grab that. All we're going to do is we're going to filter by that tag. So I'm just going to filter by the tag, include vacant, oops. Okay, so 82. So that's 82 prospects. Oh, I'm sorry. This one is actually when we want it to be done by. So I'm going to do, because I did April as the campaign, I'm going to do for, is there 30 days in April? How many days are in April? I don't even know. 30, yep. 4/30/2021. Okay, so our anticipated date that we're going to finish this and the date that it's there. All right, once we finish, how many did we actually dial would go here. Maybe we only actually connected to 50 people, right? And then that took us, and we actually finished it on 3/15 maybe, okay, 2021. The campaign name is going to be the tag, right? It's the same campaign that we already there. I'm just going to copy it from here, tags. Okay. The filter criteria, this right here is going to be the bucket, right? This is going to be the preset that we use. So let me go here and then go to records. What's that preset called? It is, oops. Okay. And then if it's an SMS campaign, you put your message. And then recycled, this is a temp A01, okay? So once we dial through, if we dial through the whole thing, it'd be 199, right? Now, how does this all play together, okay? How does this all play together? Okay, how this all plays together is because now that we have that campaign loaded, it's locked and loaded, it's scheduled, we know what's supposed to happen. You have to be proactive, not reactive with your marketing. If you don't know and you haven't planned what you're supposed to do, how do you know at the end of the month or the end of the week or the end of the quarter if you actually executed on what your company's supposed to do? Instead, what ends up happening is most people just aimlessly do, right? We're just going to load a campaign up and call through it. We're going to load a campaign up and call through it. We're going to load a campaign up and call through it, right? And they track the KPI rather than planning out. How can you project revenue based off of spending if you don't actually project the marketing, if you don't actually plan the marketing out, right? If we know that we end up calling through this in 2 days rather than a month, and we have 82 prospects, 199 phone numbers, number one, we can get average phone numbers per prospect, which is important. It's key to project out how much cold skip tracing is going to cost you, right? But now what we can do is, this is annoying me. Now what we can do is we can match the results to the thing. So we're going to go to the campaign ID here, and we're going to go to the cold calling. And now this is where we track our actual cold call metrics, okay? So Preston, what's the name of your VA?
It's going to be LEAH.
Oh, yeah, my cigar keeps going out as I'm talking. Okay, so the date is going to be the start of last week. When did she start? The 8th. Here, let's use the 8th. So we're going to say 3/8/2021. The campaign is going to be your other campaign. We're just going to go ahead and put this here because she's going to call this campaign tomorrow, so I'm not concerned about it. We'll say 3/8/2021. Now, this is going to be every single day. So what you can do is you can just go back like this, and you can drag it out so that she can put it in for every single day. Now, the blue is for your VA to implement. And by the way, this kind of like system here, the simple names, like the weekly at the top, my buddy Armani, this is kind of like a ripped off version of his cold calling one, because the one that I have is way, it's like got a lot more things on it, and I don't want to overcomplicate it for the sake of this video, right? He's really good at just making it what you need to see. So dials would be however many dials they did that day. Let's just say tomorrow for this campaign, they dialed 40 numbers. Okay, cool, that's there. You're going to go back in and see how many hours they were in that campaign or how many hours they dialed. Right? Maybe it's only 3 or 2. I just put 2 and said 3. Number of contacts people contact, is it 5? Let's just say. Right? Number of leads. How many leads did they generate? 1. Oh, I'm sorry. Blue is for you. Yellow is for them. How many hours were they on that campaign? How many did they do? So they'll come in and they'll put this information in. You'll put the blue. So after they get at the end of the day, and since your VA has access to this, you can have her do that. But for people that have multiple VAs and they don't have admin access, whoever's managing your VAs would fill out yellow, would fill out blue, and whoever is calling would fill out yellow. But since she's also managing the admin account as well, then she can actually fill this whole information out, and then she can just present it to you on your weekly or even daily. Okay, so in-call talk time, post-call time, not available time. So you would do the same thing for whatever other campaign you had, and let's say she called in 2 different campaigns, because she needs to split the time. She's going to split like 3 hours on one campaign, 2 hours on another, and you want to know if she spends 2 hours on one and 2 hours on the other, which one is giving you more leads, right? So which one should you actually be focusing on for her time? That doesn't mean that you don't focus on the other data set. It just means that you want to try to have the clarity to understand through consistently doing it, what are the results? If we don't track it consistently, we don't actually end up knowing what we want to be focusing our marketing dollars on, okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to go back. I'm going to delete these out. I just want to show as an example. I'm going to delete these out, and we're going to go back, okay, to today. We're going to do today. So today is the 11th. So we're going to choose the 11th, and we're going to go back into call tools now, and we're actually going to look at what has happened. So we're going to go to the phone lists here, and I see we got some that was called here. Let me go actually to reports, and then view all reports, I believe is what it's under. And we're going to do agent. Okay. Okay, so if we scroll down, now this doesn't split it by campaign, which is kind of the annoying part, but what we can see is that there were 6 calls, 5 outbound, 1 outbound answered, 4 outbound no answer, and then no answer. So yeah, that's obvious. That's definitely concerning, because depending on how long she was on the dialer, we want to take a peek at that. So let's look at agent performance here again. It says the same thing, but total talk time is 3 minutes. Interesting. So this is what she called today, it looks like, I'm guessing. No, she called this one today. Vacant. She called both. Vacant tax lien in March 2021. She dialed 4. Huh.
Yeah, that was my question too earlier. I think it may have to do with the fact that she's trying to operate call tools on Wi-Fi, and we had that discussion earlier.
So what we're going to do is we're going to switch to the call log. We're going to filter by today's date. And then we're going to filter by that file. And then search it. See, here's the thing. We have 2 DNCs, a no answer, and then a DNC from 313 to 340. If we filter then by the other one, which I think was this one, and search it, notice we have a bit more predictives here. And some of them are DNC, no answer, no answer, no answer. So there's a lot more connects on that one. But it was from 9 a.m. to 9:14 a.m. So that makes me then question and wonder, okay, well, what was going on between 9:14 when everything was connecting and the other time, which was 3:13. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to live agent report. I'm trying to remember. I don't click around these too often. It's not live agent. It's agent performance. And then there's total talk time. Hold on. I got to find where it's at. Leaderboard. No. What the fudge is it? It's total time in. Predictive dialer available. That's what I was looking for. So the PD available. So set the available for 6 hours. Post call time, 3 minutes. Yeah, so there's something. She was at lunch for an hour. So, you know, and then on break for 21 minutes. So, yeah, so she was, for the day, she logged in. She had an initial, quite a few phone calls, but she was technically showing available for 6 hours and 31 minutes. The only thing we don't know is how long was she in each campaign, and I don't remember how to select that in here. I'm trying to remember now how I select. I mean, even if it was dialing, though, it should show. Maybe it's under. See, the last call. Oh. No, because it would still show DNC there. Dials attempted. Let me look at one of your campaigns real quick. See, this is the analysis part, y'all. We're trying to see if you guys are having issues where it's just not connecting. We want to see what might be causing that. We got to get an idea of why something ain't working. Okay. That's going to be a big reason. I'm not an attorney. That's going to be a big reason why that one wasn't connecting as much. She was in that one for majority of the day, but it was labeled as don't call DNCs. Nearly everything is labeled as DNC. That's why when we go to reports and we look at the phone list, where to go, call stats, you see like 50% of them were blocked DNC. The others were no answer, was 27%. Dials attempted. So only 16% of your data. Yeah.
And then because I didn't have the live answers and voicemails selected, she wasn't able to leave any of those voicemails.
The other 83% just went to voicemail, and she didn't even know because, yeah, she wasn't being connected to them. So they were automatically going to voicemail. So 83% of the tiles. So you only actually connect. So that's
So
probably
she
why.
needs to recall all that then, pretty much.
Yeah, but which is already going to happen because of the campaign we just made. Right.
Cool.
So what we'll do now that we kind of see it, we have an hypothesis, right? We have a theory here, I guess, or hypothesis. What we're going to do now is we're just going to make sure that when she starts, we're going to have the campaign here for her to call, which is going to be the phone list. It's going to be the 199. We're up to 2,000 there. So she's going to call both of these. I know it says April, but we're just going to ignore that for now. Starting today. Okay. And inside our tracker, we want to make sure that we also have this one here. So it's a vacant. Because it's straight vacant, it's not niche. We don't have to put a list in there. You can just say all. Cold call, today's date, 3/11/2021. End date, 4/30/2021. Number of prospects, let's see, campaign name. Okay, criteria was, it's going to be the same criteria here, except for it's vacant. Cold call. It's a temp A01. Okay, and the number of prospects, we're going to go ahead and filter by that list. Vacant cold calling A01. I think it was like 3442 or something, or 4334. So 4334. Amount of phone numbers. Let's see if it's finished yet. It's still processing, so we're going to wait until it says complete. But right now we're up to 2,937. So we'll just put that in there for now, right? And then this isn't going to be filled out yet. This isn't going to be filled out yet. So now we're ready to roll, right? If she's leaving a voicemail, right, you could, for cold calling, you could have her put, you know, you can have her have a default voicemail that she's leaving on every one of them, like this. And then whatever she's supposed to say in the voicemail, and you can split test that in this campaign versus this campaign. Inside of the voicemail, what you can do, and this is another kind of niche way to figure out what works verbiage-wise, you can have a different call rail number for inside voicemail call rail numbers. And she can leave that number inside the voicemail she leaves on the calls, and you'll know which voicemail converts better because when they listen to it, or if they're even calling or listening to your voicemails. If they are, and you get a lot of people listening to voicemails and calling you back, then you know that RVMs could be a good thing in your market as well. Of course, you're in Florida, so I wouldn't recommend it, but that's just a tip for anyone else where RVMs is a risk you're willing to take. You can, in your cold calling efforts, leave the voicemail, leave the number before you invest the money into it. You're kind of doing RVM drops manually, and it's not ringless. It's just leaving a voicemail, but you'll be able to kind of know if that's going to work inside your market and decide what you want to do. So that's another option there. Otherwise, that's pretty much from start to finish, right? So as they call now, at the end of the day, she's going to look at how many dials she made, and then how many hours she was in that campaign, how many sellers she contacted, and how many leads she got from it. So if she ends up having a 10 contacts, 1 lead, you know that you have, for every 10 people that pick up and she goes ear to ear with, you're going to get a lead from it. So now the question is how many dials. If it was 500, then you know, okay, cool. Well, I know I want to get to 10 leads, so I need to dial 5,000 dials, which is going to make me connect to, like, say, 500 people or whatever. We start being able to see that pattern, and then what we do is at the very bottom, we end up having our averages, and now we can see what our company average is between campaigns for cold calling, so we can build predictability. Once we get that average, now we can set goals. Like, how many dial goals do we have weekly? Let's say it's 500 we want to dial a week. You want to spend at least, let's say, 16 hours on the dialer. You want to contact at least, let's say, 100 homeowners and generate at least 10 leads a week, right? And our in-call talk time, based off our averages, we want to set baselines, because if we end up not meeting our weekly goal compared to the history of our last couple weeks, we can start seeing where something's slipping. If we don't have something to compare to on a weekly and then bouncing against that, we have no idea, because it could happen for 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks. And now the only way we don't know if our marketing's been fucking up is because we can't pay our bills. We want to be proactive with that, make sure that we're tracking on the weekly, editing what we need to edit, and rocking with it. So we'll set those baselines once we get a good average, and then basically we're going to make it a realistic goal. Cool.
I do have one quick question.
Yep.
So should I set up a call reel number for each campaign within call tools as well in order to track which campaigns the inbound calls are coming from?
So yeah, you can do that if you want to track. Are you talking about for the voicemail thing?
Yeah. So I mean, basically, like anytime somebody calls back the call or the call tools number that she called from, would it be beneficial to actually have it forwarded to a call rail number in order to track where it came from?
No, because what you could do is you could just have a different campaign number. So she can be dialing outbound by a different number. So you just get another number inside of call tools like this. I'll show you. So what you're going to do inside of call tools, you can go to your phone, your PBX, and then go to caller IDs. And you're just going to add another caller ID. And you're going to go into your campaigns then, and you're going to swap out for this campaign versus this campaign. You can have two separate caller IDs, right?
So basically, because it's way cheaper on call tools, just track it that way.
Well, it's because why redirect it and have it go to call rail instead of, because she's going to be in the dialer already. So if they call inbound, you would want them to talk to her, not go to a call rail number. Yeah.
Makes a lot of sense.
One thing I just realized that we need to do is we need to attach the leads. Notice how this says out of leads. We need to go to vacant. And what we need to do is we got to click on leads. And then we need to go to the predictive, go to the vacant campaign we made, and then attach to campaign and attach it to that vacant campaign. Attach. Same thing with this one. We're going to attach this to a campaign niche. And basically what you would do is you can then now in your campaigns, you can create as many niche ones as you want, right? You can create a niche, let's say it's stacked, that has at least tax delinquent, that's not vacant, right? You would add that onto your niche. If you have a straight stacked, you'd have a separate one for stacked, but we wouldn't have it like this. These would be attached to one of these. And then under our phone list, if we don't want them to call one of those, we would just pause that. We'd run through it, right? We would just, or wait, did they remove pausing of phone list? Looks like they might have. We just wouldn't attach it to that campaign yet. We just remove from that campaign and let them call through it. I prefer to be super high level here and then niche down on the phone list for me. But I would just, for now, especially, I would just, niche into these ones and then add your, basically what you'd do is you'd add your code enforcement one to the same niche list. And if you're curious, and you can even have her still call through both of them. Let's say the code enforcement ends up being 500 phone numbers. That's fine. What we'd end up doing then in Reisif is we go to our records. See if that finished yet. Nope, not yet. We go to our records here, and all we would do is create a filter preset, and we're just going to choose our vacant campaign, vacant cold call A01, but we're going to remove the lead one, right, and include the lead one. Oh, was it unclear? Right? And now we would save that as vacant leads, right? So you can see you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? So then, and then what you could do is you can have it say for whatever campaign that was. So you can add a tag now, tags, and then you could say vacant. Let's say it's the, well, I don't know which one you have set up. Let's say it's the vacant tax delinquent 1 March or whatever. Click apply, and it would show any leads that you had that was from that specific campaign, right? So that you know which campaign was better or worse or whatever. And then you can kind of compare those difference based off of the month. Or, if you have them all under niche, you can filter by the vacant tax delinquent and the vacant code enforcement and see which one produced more leads that month. But you're going to see that either way from here, because while she's calling, she's going to update this. So, okay. So yeah, so that's pretty much the ecosystem. That's the flow, right? Filter by the data you want. In this case, I just chose, vacancy. Create some presets, whether it's just starting off 1, you want to go more advanced, then you'll go more advanced and create the filter and the flow and then document that, do a Loom video so someone can take over, a marketing manager can take it over for you. But more importantly, the biggest thing is not to stress about it, right? I know I threw it out and I came in like the swing from the very beginning saying, okay, we're going to create a temp 1, a temp 2, or whatever. you can just start off by just calling vacants, right? That's all we have to do. A lot of people try to overcomplicate it. I realize this might seem overcomplicated already, but it's just a matter of clicking a few buttons, right? You can literally identically just do what I just did. And now what's beautiful is I get to know every single month what records, right, haven't been attempted to call yet because of a simple click of a button. I know that if I don't get those skip traced, and if I don't get them called, and I don't get them SMS'd, and then I don't get them direct mail sent, I don't have the opportunity. The only thing we have in life is a couple different, well, in marketing and in business, is if we don't do, then we know automatically we're going to fail, period. If we don't send out and we don't do the marketing, we know automatically we're not going to get results, period. So if we know who we haven't attempted yet or who we're not calling, then we know where automatically we're losing opportunity cost and we're just guaranteed not to get a yes or a no. So it's all about making sure that we can have that insight, we have that visibility so that we can know, hey, I got so many people. And what's really cool on our dashboard, one of the next big things we're working on is the ability to look at those presets in a numerical value on the dashboard. So if we look at this one here, you create a preset called vacant cold call add attempt 01. If there was 15 records here on your dashboard, you'll see 15 new records that need cold called, right? So that you know, hey, those are there. So whatever you want to do there, we're building that out now. So that's the example. Get the data, make sure we get it connected. In order to send data to call tools, you need the call tools API key, which is under API documentation. You got to add that to your settings page. That way we can send to call tools. You got to be on our professional plan to be able to send to call tools. You got to be on your business plan to get data back. The people I recommend being in your account at this point afterwards is your acquisitions, which Preston has, your lead manager, which is himself and his acquisitions, and then preferably a VA to do your marketing and cold calling for you. In this case, in the cleaning of data, in this case, the VA he has is a split. Is split between all those, a Swiss Army knife, and she's handling cleaning up data. She's handling, filtering by that data, finding deep prospecting. He's having her break up her day in order to accomplish a lot. So you don't have to hire 15 VAs off the bat, but you ideally, should have at least 2 to 3 people in your team. I believe in having up to 5, and the business plan is what's for there. Other than that, I think that's pretty much it there. Make sure you then document what is going to be cold called here so that you know. And once you start that campaign, you continue on. Make sure you document how many prospects you're trying to reach out to, then how many phone numbers. And then once you get a revenue value to that, okay, so if I reach out to 5,000 prospects, I get X amount of dollars, I dialed this many phone numbers, you start to be able to see how much money you truly need to spend to produce revenue. But more importantly, you start to see, okay, well, if I only reached, X amount of people, that means that there's another 4,000 that I have not actually spoken to even ask if they want to sell their house. Not because I suck, but because, well, I'm not trying hard enough. So we got to do something else. It's not about us. It's about what marketing strategy do we need to use to reach those people. We need to at least send them a postcard. We need to at least send them this, because here's the guarantee. Most people end up saying, well, postcards and direct mail, it's too expensive. I would say, well, how do you know? Because you've never done it consistently to produce money. Expense is something that only happens if you do it, number one. And number two is if you don't produce money from it. The people that do direct mail consistently that know that it's a false thing to say it doesn't work is the people that are doing it consistently. They know if they spend $2,000, they're going to make $15,000, $20,000, $30,000, right? You got to get to the point where you're not afraid to spend marketing dollars, and the only way you get there is by tracking the results and knowing. You don't have to start off by sending 4,000, but like out of these vacancies, if we end up on these 82 calling through and we only reach 20 people, great. I'm going to send direct mail to the other 60 because it's only $5 a year for the direct mail piece to potentially, reach it. Rather than thinking of it like, oh, that's, $40 a month. Think of it like, well, I only need one of those people to make it worth it for the next 3 years. So just a couple things to think about. But that's all about sequential marketing and doing the flow. In this case, we just wanted to show how to track it with direct mail. It's the same exact scenario with SMS, the same scenario with RVM, the phone number tracking versus the lead tracking, and so on. Let's see if he's finished on his call tools yet. Still throwing them. We've got 4,000 now. So we've got a good chunk of phone numbers. Awesome. What kind of questions we got? Anybody have any other questions? We're going about 1 hour and 20 minutes here. I haven't even taken a sip of my whiskey yet. I'll do that now. So what do we got? You guys are crazy. No questions? You guys just chilling? That's a smart way to leverage Reisif in tagging and save on phone numbers for each campaign. Yeah, you want to be able to get those, know how many phone numbers. A lot of people don't think about it. It's one of the phantom KPIs. They don't think about how many phone numbers they have, the amount of prospects, and then how many leads they generate from that, and do the math on that. What do you got? Let's get some questions in.
So somebody asked, how long did you cold call on your own before getting VAs to do it? Also, do you supplement cold calling, or do you only have the VA make calls? For me, so I work a full-time W-2. It's really sporadic hours. You know, typically I'm there at 9 o'clock, and then I get off anywhere between 5 at night to potentially 8 at night. So my reach and ability to be consistent during the week for cold calling was very inefficient. So I was able to pretty much, do SMS blast during the weekdays, be able to keep up with that while I'm at work, and then cold call on the weekends. So my reach was kind of really small in the aspect of cold calling, and then at the same time trying to make the time to clean up lists and pretty much get my data ready to be uploaded and then skip traced. It was kind of a big pain in the ass to handle because I didn't have enough time. So after, a couple months of just trying to figure out how this all works and learning as much as I can, I decided that at that point, I realized where my deficiencies were and what I wasn't able to control. So I hired somebody to be able to control that, if that makes sense. So it really comes down to your situation, realistically.
Yeah, so Preston has some dispensable income. So he's using that income that's sitting, not doing anything, to produce a business and build a business, right? If you have more time, then you should be on the phone and you should be doing that. If you don't have time, then you need to leverage someone else's time. It's time is money, money is time. It's all part of, we explain all that in Auto Lead Gen Challenge. So if you want to learn more about setting that up and tracking your time and figure out where that time really is, then definitely take that. For the $99, it's well worth it. I promise you, if you actually do it. Let's see. So a new person using this, what would be the plan? So it just depends on where your business is at, Mark. What bothers me sometimes is when people start real estate or they're in real estate and they're not generating leads every single day, or and they buy and they purchase a CRM and they're paying for data every single month, but they're not generating any leads. It's the most frustrating thing ever. So Reisif, if someone's just starting off, like if you had a professional plan or the business plan, you'd be well off. So for most people, I would say the professional plan, the essentials plan is literally just that. It's for the essentials. It's about to be very minimum record count. You can only have one person in there. You can only use Zapier. I think that most people, if you're really on a really tight budget, then essentials and manual dialing should be what you're doing. You should be using the essentials plan as your CRM, everything. And then you should just be manual dialing, clicking, going through records and reaching out to people and then sending direct mail to those that don't. Maybe use something like Deal Machine to do that efficiently. We have a video series I did that's the leveraging Deal Machine and Reisif is on our YouTube channel. You can watch that webinar. To leverage those two platforms for less than $500 a month, you can have a full-blown business. Once you add in more team members and you want to build more efficiencies and stuff like that, then definitely the business plan is great. But for most people, I would say the professional plan is that ideal situation for someone who's looking to streamline and send data to call tools and the other platforms that we're integrating with and whatnot. But if you don't have the budget for it, just do the essentials, right? But the biggest thing people get, it's like, oh, well, $2.99 a month is kind of expensive. It's kind of this, kind of that. I'm like, well, I mean, it's more what you're looking at is the $2.99 every single month. What I'm looking at is how much money you would spend if you're not doing it, right? So for example, if you're not tracking your phone numbers, how many times are you going to re-skip trace? How many times are you going to resend to the same phone number? How much money are you going to lose there? If you end up going and paying for something else, what are you going to end up, spending money on? The time it takes to just send data to call tools rather than, just sending it and then working on something else. The premium support for the business plans. People go out and pay for coaching, when our professional plans have, the premium support, or the business plans have premium support. We can book a call anytime with a customer success manager, like to get advice. So it's like our ultimate goal is to make sure everybody is successful in their businesses. Just a lot of people just don't take advantage of the full thing. They look at all the filters, they look at all the options, and they say it's super complicated, but then they have a product like PropStream or, even Deal Machine and some of these other ones that have way more things you can click than in Reisif. And I think it's just because they hear the verbiage and they see the trainings and they see that it looks complicated and it feels complicated, but it's no different than like once you start using it and you click around, you become proficient. It's no longer complicated. You start becoming a ninja, like we like to say. So with the business plan, if you're using call tools, yeah, you don't need it because you can send data to call tools and back without having to use Zapier. So it saves a bunch of money. Yeah, which is basically what I just showed, setting up with the connectors and everything. And that's how it's going to be working. The way that our plan structure works, the Essentials plan just has Zapier, and you can upload some data for data management. Of course, you can use that for, because you can use it as your CRM too. It's more than enough than you need. But our professional plan enables you to send data out for the connections that we do have right now. And you can still use Zapier. And then our business plan is what then enables you to send data back. And the reason we structured it that way is because if JSON integrations is not available on the professional plan. The reason why we structure it that way is because if you're wanting to become efficient and stuff, then you should be willing to pay for that type of connection, right? You should be willing to pay for the efficiency in your business, and you should trim the fat other places and really streamline the whole thing. It's not just about the integration sending back and forth. It's about adding the team members and making the whole thing, reaching out to the people that are in that bottom tier, the having to hire campaigns, lower campaigns, the mid campaigns, anything in the mid campaigns that doesn't get it, reach after the first or second attempt, having a cleaner inside your account to start finding the information for those people. This is about the whole process of building the sales and marketing team. So that's really where we're trying to go. And we continue to kind of add these certain features. Let's see if I can showcase the new upload real quick. If anybody has any questions about that, feel free. You got some impression?
Yeah. Hey, what's your opinion on REI Rail SMS blasting versus smarter contacts? Because doesn't REI Rail have direct integration with Reisif?
Yeah. So right now, it's not fully finished yet, but it'll be done before smarter contacts is. But yeah, both of them are working on the integration. REI Rails will definitely be done sooner because we already have the API and everything done on our end to connect with them. We're just waiting for them to finish a couple more things. You can still use Zapier to update using REI Rail, but here soon you'll be able to be sending data into REI Rail, knock on wood, and receiving information back without having to use anything. Yeah, so let me show you guys real quick staging. Let's see what we got. App.staging. Let's see if I have my login on this computer to staging so we can show you guys kind of what the new upload looks like for those that are users. Let's see here, share screen.
Hey, Tyler, while you're doing that, what's your opinion on that cigar, man?
It's pretty good, man. I mean, I haven't really been able to really focus on it too much because it keeps going out because I'm talking, but it's tasty for sure.
I liked it.
Yeah. So this is our new uploads releasing here probably midweek. And you have two options, upload data or update data or add data. If you add update data, it's about the data that's inside of your account. basically, if there's something already in there you're trying to add to, like tagging existing properties, you can see on the right-hand side what requirements are needed to at least execute on what it is you're trying to do. When you're updating data, you can select multiple options here. And the reason why is because it just makes it to where we require you to map certain fields, right? If you know you're going to be tagging existing properties and updating the property status, then we're going to require the property status, or we're going to require a status column, the tags column, and the property address. You can also upload phone numbers by property address now in the new upload, which means it's going to at least require one phone number, right? If you select that option, you'll notice if I don't have that selected, there's nothing here. If you do select upload by phone numbers, we're going to ask you, okay, it does have phone numbers, but where was it skip traced at? Let's say it was skip force, right? Now you got to tell us when it was skip traced. And then you click next, and it's going to actually show, it's going to automatically add the tag here, skip trace, blank, blank, blank. And I just realized when you got to put, there's supposed to be one extra tag there. I just realized, which would be where it was skip traced. You can still add custom tags if you want, and then you click next, and you map that file, which I'm going to hopefully have one. Maybe this is a file. I don't know. Okay, and it's going to auto map, and you see where it says required, 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 because we're tagging phone numbers. You can see you can have your tags column there. Oops. You can have your status, which is required. I don't have one, but I could map this as an example, you know, and now it'd open up to where I can now click next. If it's not there, you can't continue. Owner, first name, last name, everything else. You see, we also have the ability to upload a bunch of emails and phone numbers, and we're actually adding a ton of other mappings. So it should be pretty cool. If it is, you see, we also have the phone tags on upload here. So that's there. If I were to go back and choose the option for tagging phone numbers by property address, you'll notice that now it ends up saying required for phone tags. If I click next, it'll pop up and it'll actually show that at least one phone tag is required. We can't assume whether you have 1 or 10, so we just say at least one. And then you map the phone tags, so you can map phone tags there, and then statuses and everything else. So really excited. Still a few more things we're tweaking. We're testing it right now. I'm super excited for it to launch. So there we go. Yeah, multiple emails, yeah, on upload. So is there any other questions that I can answer for you guys in regards to creating or structuring and building a cold calling setup, right? Uploading it, downloading it, number format, amount of contacts, what KPIs you're tracking, so on and so forth. Anything at all. I'm going to go ahead and try and reset my cigar here by cutting off what has been smoked.
Hey, just relight it the way that you lit it originally.
So I just cut it off. I'm just going to relight. Any questions? Nothing at all. 30-odd people still here. Any questions when it comes to skip tracing, cold calling? Nothing? All right. Well, it was super fun. I appreciate it. Appreciate you guys hanging out for a while. Damn, it's going to be super hard to get this relit. If you guys have anything ever, obviously feel free to reach out. If you don't have an Reisif account, definitely do that. If you haven't taken the Auto Lead Gen Challenge, go to autoleadgenchallenge.com or just go to reisif.io or .com and go under resources and click on Auto Lead Gen Challenge. We have that training. Then we also have the Go No Go Challenge, which is in addition to just more training, really. And then obviously you have our YouTube channel. We teach you how to pull every single list that I know of. We have my personal YouTube channel. There's content for days, there's a help center, and then there's the amazing Reisif community. So definitely make sure you're over there as well. So appreciate you guys. Appreciate being the guinea pig, Preston. Something that I forgot to let you guys know throughout this, I should have done it while there was more people in here, is that we have a new podcast coming out that is essentially a consulting podcast. We're still thinking of the name. We think it's going to be something like Getting Your Shit Together or something like that, or maybe it's just going to be like the Real Estate Consult podcast. I'm not really sure, But essentially what it is, you come on for 30 minutes with me, you tell me about what you do in your business, we go over a worksheet together, and then we give you advice on what you should change right now for the next 30 days in order to get the results. So if you're interested in being on that, please message Intercom on reisif.io, the chat bubble, to message us and say, I'm interested in the consult podcast, so that we can get you scheduled to be on there. We definitely also have some other ways to be scheduling, but I wanted to make sure I mentioned that, since it's going to be on YouTube and Facebook, and hopefully people will listen and watch all the way to the end where I'm mentioning it. So anyway, appreciate you guys. Thank you so much. I'm going to probably go play some Call of Duty and test out some stuff. Were you talking to me? Were you listening? Nice. Huh? Cool. Is that it? Nobody else got anything? We're good? All right, cool. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate it. Y'all be safe, and I'll see you guys in the next live. All right, later. Peace.